welcome back to this discussion. Of course, this is live broadcast, The Insight, where we get to dig deeply into issues that affect you one-on-one. Of course, we bring different stakeholders here to help us in looking into these issues, even as we do them through the lenses of different thought leaders. Of course, we are still having a conversation on the state of the nation, and of course, we're here with Aggrey Duwour, who is a student leader. And we're talking about the issue on taxation generally. And Dawa is talking about there are other countries. You actually compare other countries. It has been used severally by government leaders that other countries tax their citizens even more. But Dawa here says that those countries that tax more actually provide more efficient services. What do you think about this issue on taxation? Because I also believe you have a bit of a background in matters of finance.
Actually, I'm a commerce student and an accounting student, so I'm very much informed when it comes to matters of money. So, in the issue of taxation, I think the president never explained to us well the meaning of bottom up. I think it never explained it well to us. So no, my friend is talking that the countries abroad, like in the US, they get heavily taxed than us. But now the good thing with them is that they have they have employment. Those people are employed, they have jobs as compared to us. Now, you know, when economist David Ndii was explaining the bottom up, they said that you invest in where the taxes are coming from. And I remember I said it vividly, that the taxes are coming from the people. So I think President Ruto is following the advices of Ndii that you must tax the hoi polloi. But now the problem is they never gave us sources of these funds. So I think the president, instead of getting the rope out of our necks, is like tightening the rope harder, and we're suffocating. Where's the local mwananchi? You know, we don't have jobs, there are no employments, there are no job opportunities in the country, and you're still taxing these people. And I heard that even those people who the online content creators are also being taxed, like they're being punished for creating contents online. And these are very strange thing. It's very peculiar. So I think the president, instead of focusing on taxing the citizen, he should first focus on providing employment opportunities to these people, so that if they're taxed in the middle, they'll have something to provide to the government. You know.
But the president says, and of course even those people who speak on behalf of the government have said quite a number of times that the reason why they're taxing many people is that they're increasing the tax base. They're actually doing this so that they can ensure that there's efficient services and that everyone must be involved in building this country.
You know, for us to have efficient services, the government must have money. Where does the government get money from? The government gets money from the people, but these people doesn't have the money. So what should the government do first? The government should first focus on giving these people money. And how do you give them money? You give them money by providing for them opportunities.
How will the government give them money when the government does not have money?
So, you know, it's a very strange thing. It's like you're in a hole and there's no way out. So I think the government has money. There is no excess. The government doesn't have money. If one state function we spend over 5 million and you say you don't have money, it's not that as Chinua Achebe famously quoted, the problem in Africa is one of political leadership. And Kenya is not excluded. The only problem is that of political leadership. So once our our leaders takes it as a personal responsibility to deliver to the people, then we can't still have excuse like the government doesn't have money.
Okay. Masu.
Yes.
I don't want to put your 2 cents there, but actually I have a question for you because of time. We have to move. I want to just talk about the national security. We have had issues in the past. We talk about Shakahola massacre, which I believe has actually made Kenya lose several people, citizens. We have had issues to deal with banditry. We have had issues to do with crime, which is actually still happening and high in the country. We have talked and we continue to talk about wash business. What is the state of the security in the country amongst other issues that maybe still touching on?
First, let me club on the head the issue of taxation.
Okay.
Using, like my friend has introduced a quote here. Churchill Winston also said, you cannot step into a bucket and lift yourself up. So we cannot tax ourselves to prosperity.
Okay.
Yes, we have to find avenues of bringing in something first, generating and regenerating whatever little we have, and then now we can start these punitive taxes inside. So, Mr. President, you should fire David Ndii. That is categorical and as clear from me, my 2 cents on that. Fire Ndii, he will mislead you and you will fail miserably. On to the security issue.
Okay.
The reason why the likes of Raila Odinga wanted a clear and candid media presence during the exhumations at Shakahola, and he stopped short by not saying that there should also be observers from the citizenry in the postmortems that are conducted on some of these bodies, is because this is also a criminal investigation. If you are simply exhuming bodies and reburying them somewhere, or just trying to identify them and giving them to their relatives, then you're not conducting a criminal investigation. You're not getting to the bottom of this thing, which should be the actual thing happening if government is involved with the security apparatus. So if the Minister of Interior traveled all the way to Shakahola on the budget of the state to simply be holding press conferences, counting numbers of dead people, then that is a misuse of state resources. What we should be having is an investigation, an inquest into each and every body. For example, if this person died, alikufa roho yake alikufa nayo, does he have a liver? Is there a kidney in this body? The reason we want that is to understand whether there was any other motive for this massacre, for this genocide. We need to know if there was a deeper motive into this.
Okay.
Number 2, the state of security and Kithure Kindiki. We should use our popular media to also launch an inquest into the state of banditry in the north of the country, and know from the tales and statements of those who are at the heart of it why this is not stopping. If the people who are engaging in banditry are mentioning local leaders, who are these local leaders? If they say it goes up to the top, until what top? Where does this buck stop? Okay. So until we have a candid and honest conversation, these people are in the same bucket. Kindiki and the bandits, one side. Wananchi, the other.
But about other issues of security, because we talked about only once, and there is the Shakahola massacre.
Well,
that is your 2 cents.
You know, the competence of the leader is also tested at the toughest moments. And if there's a rise in crime, of course, there's a rise in crime in our hoods, in the neighborhoods. Vijana wanadungana makisu nini, ukiingia huku chini Dandora, hapa Coach nini. People are dying, Eugene, because there's a pandemic of joblessness in the country. There is a dad somewhere who has to feed a child somewhere and a wife somewhere, but does not have a job. Okay? So some of these people resort to crime because they're out of sorts, because there's nothing to bring in something for them on any day. So if the government can step in and ensure that they address these challenges, then maybe we could reduce crime, because crime is a multidimensional effort. But because the government is not keen to do any of this, that is what I bring back to my former statement. It is time for citizens to exercise their power of recall. Recall these leaders, they have failed terribly. Give them no other chance.
Okay, you agree, you want to add something?
Yeah, just on the issue of insecurity or the security. Yeah, so this is something that I need to address to the media about Nakuru. It's important to know that I studied at Egerton University. Egerton University, those who don't know, is a world-class university in Nakuru. Yeah, so you find that there's a lot of insecurity issues in Nakuru town, and there is recently that we have these gangs who work with knives as early as 5, and they kill people in a broad daylight. So this is something that Susan Kika, the governor of Nakuru, together with her colleagues, really look into. And I'm calling out her name direct because she's the governor of that county. Because we cannot have a county where youths work with knives as early as 5. There's a place in Nakuru called Kaptembo Mazembe, and it's like the police have surrendered the place to these gangs. So where are we heading to as a country, and even as a county in Nakuru? So this is something that the governor really needs to look into, because the moment a comrade's life will be claimed by these people, then tutakimbizana na ama polisi, kimbi hapo Nakuru town. So they should really look into this issue, yeah, before comrade's life is killed by these thugs. Yeah.
So, they're talking about quite, they're raising some concerns on insecurity, but of course, we also look into social issues, because we're talking about the state of the nation generally. And when we talk about social issues, we also talk about gender-based violence, which is still a threat to our social well-being generally. When we talk about gender-based violence, most people have always thought that it is always females abusing the females, but both sides. What do you make about this? And actually, from where you see it, what are these policies that the government are actually making, or what are these policies that we can come up with, the measures to curb these menace?
You know, in a society where food is not accessible, count it on me that there will be violence. In a society where poverty is the order of the day, even domestic violence will be there. Because you see, when a human being is full, that guy he's so tired, he has no time to fight. He doesn't have energy to fight. He's so tired. He's still trying to get into terms with what has just happened on the table. You know. So if you are nurturing a society that is idle, people coming out of schools, colleges, and they don't have jobs, you're breeding violence by yourself. So there are some things that you don't even need laws. You see, if you put so many laws, what will happen is that they will continuously be broken, and sometimes you have even seen when parliamentarians decide to put something that is illegal to become legal, they just amend the constitution and make an illegal thing become legal. So when it becomes legal, does it stop to be immoral in the society? It doesn't stop. So for me, I think number one, let us keep our young people busy. Let them get jobs. Let them be consumed in some industries. Let's open the landscape, the development landscape for everybody, so that it doesn't matter who is in the presidency. Even if all the cabinet secretaries are appointed from one community, but all the Kenyans are feeling the effect of development. Everything is coming all the way down. And you will realize that even if one person will stand up shouting, the other members of that community will just be watching, because we have everything we need. You know, so the goodwill of politicians is what shapes the cultures of a society.
Okay.
So if it doesn't go to that direction, I'm telling you, we are just sitting on a time bomb.
But I asked you also about the policies, the measures that actually the government can take or has already taken to curb these issues.
You know this with me, that Kenya is having so many laws around security and insecurity. So many, until even the institutions that we have. Do you know that if you go into a county, in that country we have a police commandant, we have a county commissioner. Those are security apparatus. We have APs. We have the chiefs. We have the mjikumis. We have, so nobody can take. And then even if you go beyond, we have also the anti-corruption unit here, and yet we have the CID. We have the NIS. There is nothing that we don't have. We have everything that is needed. The only thing that remains is the goodwill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about shift focus and talk about education. And as you know, that education is actually the foundation of a prosperous nation, and more particularly Kenya, as we know it, because it actually it is known for a hub of academia generally. Let me, if I come to you, Aggrey, how will you assess the state of our education system, and actually in relation to the reforms that we have had? We talk about CBC, which is one of the reforms we've had in our education system. We talk about also the new funding model for the universities. And generally, we also talk about government's consideration to privatize some institutions in relation to even the new funding model. Generally, what do you make of the education system, the state of it?
Yeah, I think we are doing very well when it comes to education. Yeah, the government has really invested a lot in the education system. Yeah, you know, in a society or where there is no any facility, if you want to invest in a society, the first thing you need to invest in is the knowledge. Yeah, you must invest in the education, because you can't give this, you can't build you can't build a road and those people don't know the purpose of that road. So you must first equip them with the knowledge to understand the environment, and this is something that we need to congratulate the government on. Yeah, but as we look into this matter, you've just asked about the reforms being done into the education system, about the CBC transferring from the 844 to the CBC. I think I don't see any problem, anything wrong with the 844, except it's more theoretical. I think that's the only disadvantage of 844. Otherwise, it's the best system of education, because the only problem is that it's more theoretical to an extent that even the so-called biology practicals, we only do them theoretically. The bonds, we only see them in papers, but not in practical. We don't touch them physically. So I think the government, instead of doing away with the 844, then let us implement CBC within the 844 system of education. Yeah, so that we have the practical things within the 844. If you say there is biology practical, let it be practical. But then we just have it within the 844. I think that would be better. Yeah.
About the new funding model, do you think it is?
Yeah, I think the new funding model, okay, the president is saying that those people from the vulnerable families will be funded almost, I think, 50-something%.
Do you think it's actually going to contribute to better quality education?
Yeah, I think this thing is going to lead to better quality education, because we have various students from very vulnerable backgrounds who couldn't manage to go to various universities, maybe because of lack of school fees and etc. etc. And now that the government is going to provide for the majority of the fee, then you have no reason not to go to that university. Yeah. The only problem is that we have, various people have various ambitions and various dreams. Maybe his dream was to go to Mount Kenya University. My dream was to go to Egerton University. And now our dreams will be limited. If you wanted to go to, you can't go to private university if it was your dream.
That actually leads me to the question that the government has wanted to privatize certain institutions, and some of them are universities, if I'm not wrong, Masu. So how will it work? Because the government is not going to provide scholarship for those students studying at the private university. How will it go? Maybe if Masu, you can help, sister.
Well, you dragged me right into the middle of this education problem, which the government is making a mess of. When my friend said that he appreciates the government for doing what they have done, he did not finish his statement. He should have said, which government? He should have posed that question to us. That which government are we appreciating and congratulating for this? Okay. Because it is not this one. This one has inherited a pregnant wife. So you cannot claim that this unborn child belongs to them or this born child belongs to them. Unless you want us to conduct a DNA, then you have to run away from this success very quickly, Mr. Ruto. This is not your success. This is a success of Kibaki and Raila in the handshake and in the power sharing deal, and Uhuru Kenyatta through George Magoha, who tried to make this more practical and beneficial. So this is not the UDA's government's achievement. Let that be clear to any Kenyan who is listening this moment. Number two, as I said here before and I've said in other forums, the president is making a mess of the education system, and I will not tire to say that. The funding system which has been introduced, in which the poorest will be given, is susceptible to manipulation by the same people who are at the top. We have had these schemes in this country. We are in the same country. We are not in Uganda today. We are not in US. We are in Kenya, where they are giving grains to the poorest people to feed them, and these grains end up in the hands of the DOs and the chiefs, the former Gachaguas, who cut them away to other uses to sell them in barns. That's the same thing that will be happening and has always been happening. HELB. I went to University Eugene and I did not receive HELB. And if I went to question the reason I did not receive help, there was no proper explanation for this. Why? Because I realized that the students whose parents could actually manage to pay for them, and the students whose parents had some power and influence, were the first to receive the bulk of this money. So if we want to leave our poorest at the mercy of Mr. William Ruto, my friends, Kenyans, we are in for a rude shock and we'll be in trouble. Now, but let me just finish the second part. Yesterday I saw Ruto and the Nairobi Governor Sakaja launching a children feeding program, which is a great occasion. I hope they were throwing a party for those kids, because our problem with sustainability in this country is too much even to start thinking about. If you feed the children of Mambo, if you feed let Mamboga make their own food, their child is fed. If you let mtu andudhi atengeneze chakula yake, their child is fed. We won't be having hungry children in school. So if you want to feed the children, throw parties and banquets for children and leave their parents hungry, we'll have orphans who will be hungrier. So let us not block resolve diarrhea by blocking the bottom. Let us resolve diarrhea by treating the ailment.
Okay. You should not block the diarrhea by
Blocking the
blocking
bottom.
the anus,
Yes, the anus.
but by treating the illness.
Yes, by treating the illness.
Quite interesting. Now, let's go to another sector actually, which treats the diarrhea, and that is the health sector. The health sector, we know and understand that it affects every citizen. It has actually been a state of, it has been actually been a subject of discussion. When you talk about KEMSA scandal, you talk about the NHIF scandal, and amongst many other issues around the health sector, which is actually affecting the accessibility of quality health care in the country. From where you sit, what is the state of the health care in the country, and what can be done, or what is being done already by this government to ensure that we have a sustainable healthcare system?
Before I say anything about health or the health sector, can I just say just one thing on education? There has always been a debate between the private and public school children,
yes,
or students. But look at it this way. If you do not allow children in private primary and secondary schools to go to public universities, whose children are they? Are they Ugandans or are they Tanzanians? And if you do not fund students in private universities, when they get jobs, will you be bold enough to tax them? That is the biggest question I have on education. But then the health sector, let me tell you something. A lot of things will be said, like in forums, on TVs, like we usually talk. And even if you look at the body language of politicians who are discussing these things, and even when they conduct investigations in parliamentary groups, you realize that me and you will just be good in discussions around tables. Because since I started knowing or understanding how the government works, knowing the structures here in Kenya, the one that has done one of the biggest, not one, but that has been notoriously named in corruption, of mishandling of monies and equipment of the government is the Ministry of Health. So if you see, we used to watch on TV, there was some program which was done by, I think they are American hospitals. It was some kind of emergency. And if you see how those people are treating lives, they are trying to save lives. And you consider that you look at that and consider what happens in Kenya, where I would rather, as a doctor, if I'm a doctor, I collude with maybe the minister and whoever it is, and I open my sub-hospital where patients will be referred to from a public hospital. to go and take an X-ray or do some test because the government hospital doesn't have an equipment which was budgeted for and money was allocated and was reported to have been used well, and the equipment is not there, then it means we don't like even our people's lives.
Okay.
The Kenyan society can just die without the government making any efforts, because if a Ministry of Health doesn't make things look, or that doesn't use
Okay.
government facilities the right way, then we are in a state of waiting for the worst to happen.
Okay, thank you so much. My director tells me we have come to the end of this show, but we'll just give our parting shots. But even as we give our parting shots, as we reflect on the state of the nations, what are the priorities actually that our government and citizens should actually focus on in the coming months to steer our nation towards a better future?
Thank you very much. I think the government we should really focus on reducing the cost of living. You know, most people cannot afford food on a daily basis, or even 1 meal on a daily basis. You know, the worst thing you can do to human being is to deny them food, and that's what the president, or rather the Kenya Kwanza government, is trying to do to the people. They're trying to deny people food, and that's the worst thing you can do to a country, to citizens. So I think the government should really focus on, even if it entails bring back the subsidies in various commodities, then they should do so in order to lower the cost of living. Yeah, I think once the cost of living is down, then we can now focus on other things, because we cannot say that let's focus on education or what if people are hungry. Yeah, we must have something in the stomach for us to be able to delve into other matters. Yeah, and then as I comment on my last remarks, I think the President Ruto, should form a committee to interrogate his government, because there is something wrong with this government. Yeah, this government, they're being like they were elected by gods and not human beings. Yeah, but we understand that's how African politicians behave. But let them try, as much as they cannot be 100% loyal to us. Let them try, even give us 30%. We won't complain with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Eugene, when the monkeys took control of the car, they chased away the owner and started drinking the yogurts and the porridge which was inside the cabins of this car. And then when they were done with drinking this, they decided to see if they can drive it. And then the monkey suddenly realized that that human being they chased away was the person who could actually drive this car, and that they had no capacity whatsoever to do anything with this behemoth that they had in their hands. That is the situation of the individuals who are in the car, which is called the government of Kenya as we speak. But the challenge to me is not to the government. The challenge is to Monanchi. Why should you sit there while the power that you donated to a particular leader is being misappropriated? Why should you sit there while the money that was meant for the treatment of your son, who just died yesterday in the hospital, is cutted off to other issues? Why should you sit back while we, the young people of this country, I'm so young, we speak truth to power and talk to the government in clear terms? Why should you sit back? Why don't you join us? Why don't you get into this conversation and we spear this country forward together? Because we have the same brains as they have, we have the same goals better than they have, and we can move forward together only if we amalgamate our power. Join us today and we move forward together. Asante sana.
Ndawa, last remarks.
You know, campaigns to 2022 elections started in 1980. I mean 2018. And it was like a war. We are still warring today, until today. And I would like to advise our political class, those who lost and those who won, to believe in the positions that they got themselves in. If you won, please don't campaign to win again. You have won. You have the gold medal. Take it home. After celebrations, even when Argentina won the World Cup, I didn't hear them again after 1 month. They were gone. And people are focusing on to the next matches. So let those sitting in the government don't keep fighting. Let them go down to work. Let us stop corruption. Let us focus into the livelihoods of our citizens so that we can grow together.
Join us again next week as we delve into several other issues that, of course, we have for you, because we always come here to discuss issues and challenges that are affecting us as a society and try to delve deeply to get answers to them through the lenses of different stakeholders and thought leaders. And of course, this is such conversation that we always have to educate and to enlighten you through this deliberate and intentional conversation. We always have this conversation, and we implore you to also have this conversation with us at GBS TV Africa, at Ochieng Kwach, in all our social media platforms. These three gentlemen bringing you what they believe is how the state of the nation is. And of course, you get to listen from us every Friday from 7 to 8 p.m. Well, I want to wish you a very good night on behalf of everyone, on behalf of the team that has made this happen. I want to wish you a very good night. My name is Eugene Ochieng Kwach, and see you next Friday. Thank you.